ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay. So, any questions, clarifications that you all have? Somebody had asked me to check up something. I don't remember exactly what, but yeah. Clear? Everything? Okay. Okay. Okay, now then going forward. 42nd we saw last time. Okay. Correct? Okay. That there is no manifoldness, no many, ekameva, all that we saw. Okay. Then, with result to that knowledge, he is saying something. Okay. Okay. Somebody is struggling to get in here. Okay. Now he says, whose phone is that? 1 second. Okay. Okay, now if anyone has to ask a question, you'll have to unmute yourself and ask. Okay. All right. Going ahead. सवा बाह्याभ्यन्तरो अर्जुनः जन्म मृत्युजरातिगः अहम आत्मेति यो वेति कुतो अन्वेति बिभेति सः कुतः अन्वेति बिभेति सः. कुंडे अन्वेतः बिभेति सः. Where is there fear for a person? He says. Where is there any fear for this person? Who the person? Sa bahya abhyantaraha aham atmeti yo veti. Aham atmeti yo veti. Who understands that aham atmeti, I am the Sachidananda Atma. Okay. Once who has understood. What type of an Atma? Because Atma, the general translation Atma is I. So what type of an Atma? Says Sa Bahya Abhyantaraha, who is both inside and outside. Though at the very beginning we say Atma inside, etc., etc. Once we understand the Ananta nature of the Atma, Atma is Anantaha, is Anandaha, we understand that Atma is both inside and outside because there is limitlessness. So if it is limitless like space, then you can't confine it as inside or outside. It is everywhere, in and through everything. Therefore, sa bahya abhyantaraha ajirnaha. No limitations of space means no limitations of time. Therefore, ajirnaha. Doesn't age, doesn't decline. Ajirnaha. Janma mrityu jaratigaha. Atigaha. Beyond Janma mrityu jara. Beyond birth and death. Beyond old age, etc. Beyond youth also. Okay. It is not that when you know the Atma, you will become free from birth and death. You are already free from birth and death. Yeah, I know you have a history. I know you have a horoscope. and some of us, our horoscopes look like horoscopes. All that is true. In spite of all the puja part, clearing this, that, etc., it's still a horoscope. What to do? Karma is like that. But still, in spite of all that, I am free. The body is born, the mind is manifest in that body. All that is true. And because the mind is manifest in the body, the consciousness is manifest there as I. Really speaking, that consciousness is unlimited. Limitlessness itself. Free from birth and death. Appears to be born with the birth of the body. Appears to die with the death of the body. Appears to. Not really. Therefore the knowledge is, I am free from birth and death right now. In spite of the graying hair. Graying. It's all white. Okay. Graying was once upon a time. Yeah. Okay. In spite of that, no old age. Body of course will age. You can keep it about 15 years younger with all the things that you try, with all the stunts that you try. Exercising this, that, okay. That's all. More than that, what? Relative. Okay, relative. But I am free from birth and death. Okay, I am free from birth and death at any given time, because I am timelessness itself. Therefore, Janma Mrityu Jara Atigaha. Once you know yourself like that, where is the sense of fear, he says. From the standpoint of what you really are, there is nothing to be afraid of. I can understand. From a functional standpoint, there can be some issues. Why? Because all fear comes from a sense of loss. And you can't handle that loss. Loss of something you hold valuable, number one. And that becomes worse if you think you can't handle it. Loss of name, loss of fame, loss of money, loss of job. If you think you cannot handle it, that fear is compounded. But if you really look at people who went through all these issues, and we all either know or read about people who went or gone through all these issues, they all bounce back. Isn't it? Loss of name, loss of fame. In fact, some people revel in their notoriety. I know one character who had a lot of these videos, etc., coming up about him in sexual positions with some film actress and things like that. He has set up his own country in an island, Kailasa, with his own passport, visa rules, everything. Wow. So even at the functional level, this is something you can't handle. Therefore, even functionally, that's courage. If you say, I can handle that loss, that is courage. Okay. But from the standpoint of the absolute reality that is talking about, there is nothing other than me, then what is there to be lost? I encompass everything within myself. I am that limitless awareness. That limitless consciousness is me. Therefore, what is there to be lost? What is there to be gained? I am the only reality that is there. The only reality that is there. That's it. Yeah. So that is what he is highlighting in this verse. This verse is not highlighting from the functional angle. I mentioned it as passing so that people can handle things. But he is highlighting it from the understanding of the Atma, that once I know myself, there is nothing to be gained or lost. I am the only reality that is there, and if I am the only reality, there is nothing that I have to fear about gaining or losing. If you look at it another way, Dvaita dhi bhayam bhavati. Another thing, it says Dvaita dhi bhayam bhavati. The Upanishad says that. Okay? Out of duality alone there is fear. Why? You have to be afraid of something, no? No, Swamiji, I am afraid of what I will do. You have created an artificial split in yourself. Ideal, actual split you have created. You have created an ideal way of behavior for yourself, and the actual doesn't match it, therefore you are afraid. You have created duality where, really speaking, there is no duality. So that is the problem. Therefore, if there is nothing other than me, what is there for me to be fear about? Now, when you mention fear, people say, Swamiji, I am not afraid of anything. Yeah, we are not talking about fear in terms of terror. We are talking about your general sense of insecurity that is there. Every human born as a human being, you cannot avoid a sense of insecurity. You are all insecure about something or the other. We don't like it, but we can handle it. That's the maximum we can come to as a human being. We are insecure, but we can manage our insecurities well. Good. No, Swamiji, I really don't have any insecurities. We have to raise the threshold a bit further. That's all. Then the insecurities will come up. Yeah. And what you are insecure about also. I had a batchmate, okay, who would rush into any dangerous situation without a thought, without a care. He used to revel in all dangerous situations. Okay, whether it is the enemy, a fire, an accident, he would be the first one to be there to handle things. But at a party, ask him to go and speak to a girl, which most of us can comfortably do. He will break out into a sweat. Don't ask me to do that. I'd rather face the enemy. I'd rather face that fire. Don't ask me to do this. So what are we insecure about? So various things. That insecurity, says, disappears from you. Because what's the worst thing that will happen? You'll suffer, you'll die. The Atma is free from all that. What's the problem? The problem is because we are neither here nor there. We are not fully saying, I am the body, mind, okay, I have insecurities, that you can't say that. You are not yet rooted in the knowledge enough to say, I am free from the whole thing. I am sure most members in this class will be like this at this stage. Okay. I have left that stage of total identification with the body, mind, etc. behind me. But I am not yet rooted in this knowledge. Therefore, I am stuck in between. Trishanku. Trishanku, what? Trishanku is one of the characters in the Ramayana. When it comes to Ramayana, I'll tell you the story. Okay. I mean, I don't know how many side stories I will cover, but whatever I can cover. Yeah. The modern expression, of course, in Hindi is na ghar ka na ghat ka. True. This is a phase that every student goes through. All of us go through that. And even if you have Nishtha, you can always have some better Nishtha. Nishtha can keep growing all your life. Yeah. All your life. And various challenges in life will show you where the Nishtha is a bit shaky, where you need to grow. And that's the beautiful thing about living in a society, etc. It will show you where you need that Nishtha. Okay. So, once you get that, a certain optimum level, you are free from the whole thing, free from that fear, etc. Now he says, makes a very beautiful statement here. Prageveta vidhe karma varnito dudehe prapohanat tad astuvaladi shastrebhya tad tattvameti nishchayaha. Prag eveti videhe karma. Before the knowledge of Aham Brahmasmi, etc., before that knowledge, videhe karma varnitvadehe apohana. Before the negation of the body, apohanat dehadehe, varnatva dehadehe. Before negation that you are not the body, before the negation of your varna and ashrama dharmas. Okay? Varna is color, wrongly translated as a caste system. Okay? Yeah, there was some sort of caste system based on sattva, rajas, tamas. Because color referred to sattva, rajas, tamas. White or golden for sattva, red for rajas, black for tamas. This is the color combination. Okay. Therefore, varnas. They deliberately use varna, not janma, not birth. Okay. Deliberate. It's very important to say that. Of course, there is enough orthodox people who will say, because of your varna, you are born in a Brahmin family. Not true. I have seen enough Brahmin families are, so according to varna, he is supposed to be intellectuals. I have seen enough Dambos in Brahmin families also. That's how the expression Pandita Putra has come. Pandita Putra means father was a great Pandita, great scholar. What about this guy? Don't talk. Father was a scholar. This guy idiot. So when you say Pandita Putraha, it's all Lakshana Vakyas. Okay? In Sanskrit, Pandita Putra, Lakshana Vakya, big idiot. But you're saying it nicely. Father was a great scholar. This guy better not ask about it. Devanam Priyaha, stupid ritualist. Doesn't have eyes to see more than that. Beloved of the gods. Translation. Okay, understand, these are all polite ways of giving galis. Okay. Very polite ways of telling idiot, etc. Therefore, okay, varna ashrama dharmas. Because in keeping with your varna was your dharmas, karma that you do. Okay. Now tell me, if there is a certain amount of freedom given to the people, and if you notice even now the Hindu structure, it's a lot of freedom. Anyone comes and tells you, you should do this, you should do this. Even as a teacher, I don't say you should do this. Even though I know all of you, or at least most of you, will do what I say, still I never say you should do this. I may suggest some things which you are free to do or not to do. Why? Because that's the nature of the structure itself. There is a lot of freedom given. So tell me, why will I choose a particular karma if I have that freedom, unless I have a certain affinity towards that? Will someone who is shy of meeting people, uncomfortable meeting people, choose marketing as a profession? Will someone who loves to contact people, etc., choose to sit behind a comp? Will someone who is afraid of his own shadow or doesn't like confrontation choose to go into the army? I can accept. In a situation like a pandemic, etc., you will take any job you get. Understandable. Because survival is involved now. Survival is involved. But in a civilization where survival was not a question, our civilization was advanced enough to see that survival was not a question. Why? We never sold food. In India, until about 200 years ago, food was never sold. Food was always shared. You never paid for food. Food was given. Food was shared. Why? Everybody had a right to it. So even in the villages, etc., even now in certain areas, I see this custom. People will come out of their room, out of their houses and announce on the road, is there anybody who requires a meal? It's lunchtime. Is there anybody who requires a meal? If they are, welcome, come in. My grandmother used to do that. Every beggar would know, if you go to this place, you will get a meal. And sometimes there were days when she has fed everyone, her whole family, and she's got just enough food for herself left. Some beggar would come. She would give half the food to him. Half would be given. This was her. And once unseasonal rains, the harvest got flooded out. The paddy is rotting in the field. And there some of the villagers who were jealous of her used to say, let us see how she will do her charity this year. There won't be enough food for the family. And you won't believe it. From that rotten paddy, fresh shoots came up. Enough for herself and her charity. She fed the villagers. Therefore, in a society like this, when this was what 150 years ago we are talking about, okay? The story is not even 150. Yeah, 100 years ago. My father would have been 100 years alive. So it's 100 years ago we are talking about. So, until 200 years back, we didn't sell food. That means the civilization was rich enough. 200 years back, we were contributing to 43% of the GDP of the whole world. By the time the British left, it came down to some 1% or 2%. So in a society like this, where is a compulsion to take up something out of desperation? Very rare. Very rare. Yeah. Unless there was some parental pressure, etc., that is human. Therefore, the father wanted the son to follow his own profession. That maybe have been there a little bit, because that is human. Even though you respect freedom, etc., we are humans also. So I will accept that there must have been some situations where the father may have compelled the child to follow. Those few cases. Yeah. There was some pressure. But remember, the child went to a Gurukula. Gurukula, you have all types of learning available. 12 years you are there. The Guru and the Sishya can decide what they want to learn, what they want to specialize in. The father is not paying the fees. The father is not paying the fees. The past students are maintaining the Gurukula. Okay. So you start, it is like you are given things free. No pressure of an educational loan as well. No pressure. Given things free. Then, now that you are earning, etc., support the future generation. What a beautiful system it was. What a system. It's for not for nothing that we are an evolved society. Really evolved society. So you got things free, you support. The same thing happens in Vipassana today. The Buddhist system, Vipassana system of meditation, run by Goenka. You go to the Gurukula. You do a Vipassana course, no charges. After you finish, if you want to support somebody else, you can give a donation for it. Our Gurukulas are the same. In most of the cases, unless those who can afford to give something, they give. Otherwise, come, study. The past students, people like us, will support the Gurukula. So for years, I used to raise funds for both the ashramas until they became stable enough to be on their own. So this is the system. So in a system like this, where will someone pick up a job or a profession which is not in harmony with their inner makeup? Swamiji, who will choose Shudra Karma, going and cleaning up places and things like that? People who are predominantly tamasic, too lazy to have learnt any other skills. Correct or not? Who are too lazy to have learnt skills, they don't have any skills, they have not learnt. They didn't go to a Gurukula. Remember, Gurukula is free. Gurukula is free. Therefore, there is no constraint of money to learn skills. But if they were too lazy, then what? That can happen because you are too tamasic. Therefore, those people ended up doing jobs like this. But those jobs are also respected. As karma, they were respected. As karma, they were respected. The pandemic has taught us that. No? The cleaners are very, very important. We have a person who cleans up the society. So I spoke to the society, we gave this person some extra money. Why? Because he's doing such a good job cleaning up the lift and things like all that thing. He's an important person. In the pandemic, his job is even more important. Yeah. So as karma, you respect it. As karma, you will respect it. Yeah. Therefore, according to the varnas, now you will identify inner makeup, the choices you have made, both. Okay? Inner makeup and the choices you have made, both together, you will have a certain identification. Therefore, this is my karma, this is what I am supposed to do. Therefore, in keeping with varnaha, deha dehe, he says, before these things have been negated, you can do videhe karma. The karma that has been enjoined both Vedika and Laukikam. But he is highlighting the Vedika here. Okay? Vedika karma. I will do Agnihotradi. Kshatriya karmas will be something different. They also have. Everyone has their own karmas. What the Vedic karma you can do. A Brahmana cannot do a Vajpaya. He can perform it for somebody else, but he cannot do it for himself. What is a Brahmana? He is the highest, no? No, not necessarily. A Vajpaya is meant for the Kshatriya. Vajpayee. His ancestor must have done. Anyone with a Vajpayee surname means his ancestor must have done a Vajpaya ritual. It's a 17-day ritual, okay? Not easy to do. Rajasuya, only a king can do it. Therefore, according to Varnashrama, there were rituals. According to the Varnashrama, there were rituals, there was karma, action, all that what. If you are identifying yourself with your body and a particular Varna, only then this will be done. Then what? He says, Tat astuladi shastro bhayasta astulam. All these statements of negation, not gross, not subtle, etc., where your body, mind, etc., has been negated. Your identification with these has been negated, and tattvameti nischaya tattvamasyadi vakyena, by sentence like sattvamasya, etc., by the Mahavakyas, when your truth has been revealed to you. When the truth has been revealed to you, where is karma for you? Where is karma for you? That's why he's focusing more on the Vedic karma, because Laukika karma will happen. You'll eat, you'll relate to people, those things will happen. Vedika karma meant for punya hereafter, etc. What punya? I am not going anywhere, I am remaining as limitless consciousness. I have not come from anywhere, I am not going to go anywhere. There is no dimension for me to go to. All dimensions exist in me. Unless you have not taken sannyasa and your varnashrama dharma was that of a priest, then you will continue performing the rituals as a priest for others. Because that's your job, and you have not taken sannyasa, so you have to do a job. Unless you are retired. Okay. Retired, look at it, the structure was very nice. Retired means you are a vanaprastha. What is retirement? Being a vani. When do you do that? There are some guidelines given. When your hair starts turning grey, or now you can't use that, because by 30s people start greying. I had a nice streak of grey when I was 25, 26. But good thing, I was already in Rishikesh, so no problem. Or when you see your grandchild. When you see your grandchild, okay? Not wait for him to get up and get married. No. So funny. Retirement is that. Moving from executive to advisory. You are handed over responsibility, you are only advisory. Advisory means what? When they ask you, you will give it. Not otherwise. You will not become an old man advising every Tom, Dick and Harry that crosses your path. So nobody wants to talk to you up. No. Only. After that, sannyasa. Vanaprastha is transition period. Okay? Where you do a lot of upasanas, tapas, etc. Prepare yourself for sannyasa life. develop your internal energy, etc. So they are healthy, strong, powerful. Upasana does that to you. Okay. What you couldn't do when you are working, lot of things is to take care of yourself. You may not have been able to do when you are working because too much of demands on your time. Your family demands, children demands, house demands, work demands. So now you build up everything, prepare yourself. Then sannyasa. Why? Because only knowledge is left in your life. But Swamiji, I studied so much as a householder itself. Very good. Get your nishtha. Soak yourself in this knowledge. Get your nishtha. Soak yourself. The more you soak yourself in the knowledge, the greater your nishtha is. Of course, sannyasa was not mandatory, dependent on a lot of factors. Yeah. Even all this is only advisory, okay? The Veda gives you a direction how to live. So nowadays you retire at 60 and start a consultancy, which is okay because it's still advisory. Which is okay in harmony with Vanaprastha because still advisory only. As a consultant, you are not doing, you are only telling people, this is a way to do things. And they are implementing it, they are executing it. So it's still fine, it's still fine. But how long will you be a consultant? How long? Believe me, I know people who have been consultants at 90. So in fact, one of them I asked, sir, don't you think it is time for other pursuits in life? No, I am not interested in anything else. Not even spiritual? What spiritual? All nonsense. I said, okay. His choice, his freedom. His choice. Yeah. I mean, India is a free country. If he wants to live like that, of course he has the freedom to do that. And if at 90 his consultation is relevant enough, people will call him. That's one thing I like about the industry. People will call you only if you are relevant. So, good. But the idea is, when are you going to? That is why that Vanaprastha stage was deliberately handing over responsibilities so that you don't even have to do Vedic karma after that. You could focus more only on Tattvamasyadi, on Vedanta you could focus. Upasanas to prepare and Vedanta etc. You could focus on that. That doesn't mean you can't focus on Vedanta before. The day you have the jijnasa, desire to know. Now forget desire to know, muksha, the desire for moksha. And it is there. The day you discern, this is what I want in life, that day you are qualified to study. That day you are qualified to study. Yeah. There is nothing. Start your studies. Oh, then Viveka, Vairagya, etc. is there. Yeah, you have lived a life. Therefore, some of it, at least in some of it will be there with you anyway. Only more you can cultivate it, refine it, fine tune it. That's okay. It will be there. But once you know the truth, there is no need for any karma after that. There is no need. Because karma requires that adhyasa, aham karta, aham bhokta iti. Therefore, since the body is continuing, a badita ahankara is continuing. Like the earth appearing flat even though you know it's round. Similarly, there is an apparent ahankara continuing. You wear the dress of ahankara and walk the streets of Bombay as an ordinary man. Okay. You become like phantom, okay? You're walking, you know, the dress of ahankara, you can walk the world. That's okay, that's fine. Okay. But believe me, when you walk in the world, the rules of the streets apply, okay? They don't apply for you, but they apply for your roles. Okay. Okay. Iti ahameveti nishchayah. Okay. All right. Okay. पूर्वदेह परित्यागे जात्यादीनां प्रहाणतः देहस्यैतु जात्यादिः तस्याप्येवं हि अनात्मता. Okay. Then he is continuing with this idea a little bit. Okay. Purvadeha parityage, before you give up this body, meaning before dying, okay, before I move on, before I give up my body, jatyadinam prahanataha, all my identification with my roles etc. have been given up, negated. With my vichara I have negated all the roles. When he says jatyadi, okay, understand, jatyadi means the roles that you play. It's not, it's all, the British made a big problem in India by translating all this as caste. Big problem. Okay. We had 4 varnas, only 4. But when the British translated, they identified some 18 castes. Jati they translated as caste. And they said that there are 18 castes in India, especially North India. Why? Because these castes move together, function together. Even now, if you go to North India and ask, आपके जाति क्या है? जैसे मैं कुंभार हूँ सर, I'm a potter. और आप? हम तो विश्वकर्मा हूँ. विश्वकर्मा meaning carpenter. These were not castes. These were jatis, yes, but not castes. Jati means group. I have said this before. In this class there are 2 jatis, men and women. Not caste, 2 groups, male, female, 2 groups. But they, out of their mischief, they translated it as caste, part of their divide and rule. Jati is not a caste. Jati is a group of people. Yeah, they normally lived in guilds. They functioned as a guild, and the British had guilds. They had surnames also based on guilds. Smith, Brown. What are these names? Yeah, they took their surname either on the basis of the profession, yeah, or on the basis of color of the house, brown. So it's not that the British were unfamiliar with it, okay? Jati meant group, guilds, okay? Yeah. Naturally there are guilds. Bombay Merchants Association, Indian Merchants Association, very famous group. IMC in Bombay is very famous. The Lawyers Association. So lawyer is a jati or what? It's a guild. It's a professional body. It's just a professional body. Therefore he says jatyadi prahanataha. I negate it. It's only a role I am playing. It is not me. It doesn't define me. It's only a role that I do. Yeah, it doesn't define. If you let your profession define you, you are limiting yourself to a very narrow stream. You are limiting your growth as well. Yeah, your growth also becomes limited because you are thinking only on the basis of this profession. I have found a lot of yoga teachers telling this to their students, which is wrong actually. In the name of pratyahara, withdrawing from unnecessary activities, don't read the newspaper, don't read things that is not necessary, keep your mind free. All this is making people unidimensional. Wrong thing to do. Pratyahara is focusing on your priorities as far as the functioning world is concerned, and at the seat of meditation, total withdrawal from everything. So don't get into this trap that I should not know this, I should not do that, That's all very, very foolish thinking. Very foolish thinking that is. Okay? But the roles have been... Why? Because I can't be defined by my role. I'm playing a role, all right, but I'm much more than the role. The role is dependent on me, I am independent of the role. Jati is dependent on me, I am independent of the jati. Therefore, I can drop my jati if I want to and choose a different profession. I can. A great Brahmana did that in India. His job was to teach. Brahmana. Teaching, etc. is his job. But he couldn't even afford milk for his children because he was teaching the wrong things at that time. He was not popular. Then he said, I will be the greatest teacher available in the field of martial arts. And my school will be a specialized Gurukula now, only for martial arts, and that also only for royalty. Why? The teacher has a right to decide who should attend the class. He was unrivaled as both as a teacher and as a warrior. Brahmana by birth, Kshatriya by functioning, by his role. I'm talking of Dronacharya of the Mahabharata. Yeah. Great warrior. Therefore, you can change. Why? Because you are not defined by the role. You are not defined by the role. How many engineers have become financial experts in today's world? You'll be amazed at how many engineers have gone into finance. Why? Because you don't see yourself defined as engineering by your basic degree. Of course, finance people don't get into engineering. Problem ho jayega. I won't trust you with my car or anything, okay? Or even my phone or something. No. Unless you pick up those skills. Similarly, I won't trust the engineer with the money if he has not picked up those skills. Picked up those skills. If you pick up those skills, then fine, not an issue. Not an issue. Therefore, you are not limited by your role. Okay, jatyadinam prahanataha. Deha sevyatu jatyadi. Why? Jatyadi belongs to the body and mind at the most. Na? Where else does it belong? Where else does it belong? And tasyepevam hi atmata, anatmata. And the body itself is anatma. Look at it. Your body and mind is anatma. With this body and mind, you play a role. And you identify yourself with the role. My God. How far removed are you from the truth? When you are so totally identified and defined by the role that you are playing, you're defined by a role. The role is played by the body and mind. Body and mind itself is anatma, not atma. But you're saying, I am that role. My God. How far removed are you from Aham Sachidananda Atma to I am body, mind, etc. to I am the role and now I am functioning and I am saying this role is what I am. Functioning in the role is fine, no problems. You are playing a role. Guna Guneshu Vartante, not a problem. We have seen it long back, na? Guna Guneshu Vartante. याद है किधर देखा?
गीता जी.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita. Long ago. Okay. So playing a role is not an issue. Identifying yourself, let it define you, let it limit you. That is a problem. However good the role is, however good you are in playing that, however good you are. And you know you're identified when you say, I am like this, I love to do it like this, I can't do it differently. Pay attention there. Why can't you do it differently? I'm not saying you should be doing it differently. But when you are saying, I cannot do that, I'm defining myself by that. Role, body, mind, etc. Then I. And I am in and through the whole thing. So all of them are dependent on I am independent of all of them. This has to be seen very clearly. And your roles are important in many ways. Many of us are playing very important roles. Therefore, you let it define you. That is the issue. That is the issue. Because of that, we are not learned to drop the roles when necessary. Because there are times when it is necessary to drop a role. Yeah. Who comes home? The officer or the mother? Or the wife? Officer there, yes. Your vice president, great. Your vice president, great. Very good. Yeah. Your vice president, very good. Yeah. But then what? When you come home, your wife, your mother, different roles take up. Therefore, learn to spend some time with just simple person. That's also important. You learn to be as a simple person. Then you can understand what you really are. Okay. Okay, anatmata. Mamaham chetyata vidya sharirādīṣu anātmasu आत्मज्ञानेन ही हेया स्याद असुरगुणम इति श्रुतेः मम अहम च एतत् अविद्यया शरीरादिषु अनात्मसु. Aham and mama, I and mine, with respect to shariradi, body, mind, etc. With respect to body, mind, etc. Where else is going to be aham and mama? Aham, I am the body, this is mine. Okay. Sharira, sho anatmasu. Says Asura gunam iti shrutehe. Asura gunam iti shrutehe. They are all asura gunaha. Asura guna meaning gunas of asuras. not my gunas. They are not sattvika gunas, they are asura gunas. They are asura gunas. They are not my gunas. They are not gunas of sattvic people. And therefore what? Atma jnanena heya. They are supposed to be negated by Atma Jnanam. Atma Jnanam is the only thing that can negate these gunas. Atma Jnanam is the only thing that can negate these gunas. What else can negate? Nothing else can negate. Nothing else can negate. Nothing else can negate. Only Atma Jnanam can negate these gunas, nothing else. Because how are you going to negate your identification with the body, mind, etc.? How are you going to negate that? The only way you can negate it is through Atma Jnanam only. See, saying I am not the body, mind, etc. is not enough. Saying I am not the body, mind, etc. is not enough. Why? Because you are only saying it. If you don't have anything else to hold on to identify with, you will pick up all the identifications back again. You'll pick up all the identification back again. What you are negated will be picked back because you don't have anything else to identify with. You are still vague about who am I. Therefore, even though some sort of negation has been done, you are still stuck with the identification that is there before. Therefore, that negation is complete only when you say I am the Sachidananda Atma. Until then, some sort of negation has happened. You have seen your independence. That negation is seeing your independence. That's all. Nothing more than that. Okay? That negation is nothing but seeing your independence, nothing more. It is not identifying with the Atma. It is not, you are not really identified with the Atma. You are only seeing yourself as independent of body and mind, which is important, which is good, which is necessary. Without that, you can't handle. Because that you can't handle. How do you handle? How do you come to the Atma? So, the seeing yourself as independent is important. But that is not complete. It's not complete. It's complete only when you know the true nature of the self. Only then will you recognize or negate your identification with body and mind completely, and use it only for your functioning things. You won't be defined by it. You won't be defined by it. Am I making sense in this whole thing? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then what? Okay. Is this clear, or is there any doubts, etc. in this, or is this all very clear for you all?
So, Swami, just an observation.
Yeah.
I mean, normally it appears to me that the best work in any field comes out only with a strong identification, right? Like, I mean, if you see the best cricketers, scientists, or sports, anything, I mean, in a way, the two go together, right? As in, the more you're identified, the best in you also comes out. So, I'm assuming that a lot of this process is a gradual disidentification as opposed to
Yeah.
you
Agreed.
start with a disidentification.
Agreed. See, it's two things. If you are identified with the role, then you will play the role well, no doubt. You'll play the role well, no doubt about that. Okay? But you will not grow enough in that role. You will be very unidimensional as a person. Very unidimensional. So the question is now, do you want to grow as a person along with the role, or do you want to get limited by the role? I have seen people who are phenomenal in functioning also. At the same time, what do you call, great in their roles. At the same time, they see themselves as independent of the role. I agree, when you are in the peak of what you are doing, your identification will be very strong, okay, in a given function. But how will you be able to move on to the next higher function if you don't see yourself as independent from that function? Because doing a job effectively will only make you good in the job. Are you ready for the next promotion? You're very efficient. And I have seen this in people. I used to do this program for a company where I was sitting with the joint president. Okay, just before I met the joint president, I met with a young officer in the same company. He was in the Chennai office, now he is transferred to the Benares office. So there is a certain protocol that certain quarters are offered to him. He has to inspect it and say if it is acceptable or not. So he is a junior level officer. I had seen him in a training program in Chennai when I had done for the same group, and now I am in Benares. So I said, hey, what are you doing here? He said, now I am this thing. I said, okay, you are happy. Oh yeah, it's just a formality. This thing, I have signed the form saying I am okay with it. Okay with the quarters offered. Now, where should this thing go? This paper, this form. Same level, he's accepted it. So the same level officer this side at the headquarters can accept it and okay it, no? Because there is no conflict. Or one level higher at the most, because some superior has to okay it. So I am sitting there with the joint president now, and this paper comes to the joint president. He says, sir, what are you doing signing this paper? They always send it to me. I said, but why should you sign it? You are the joint president. This is not your function. So I said, can we do an exercise, sir? He said, yeah, what's it? I said, let us go down and trace why people have sent it up. And everybody is saying the same thing. But he is very good in that work. He was very good in that work 20 years ago when he was doing that work. I said, sir, kick it downwards. Let one level above this guy sign it and let it stop there. Let your time not be wasted by this stupid papers like this. You're not given up that role, that identification, and others also not given it up, both ways. You're good, of course you're good. See, that he is good in his role is understandable because he has risen up to the Joint President. This was what he was doing 30 years back. Are you getting the idea? Upward delegation. Upward delegation will happen. Over identifying with the role. A certain amount of identification, of course, has to be there. Nobody denies it. Nobody denies it. You have to be identified with the role to an extent. If you are not identified with the role, you cannot function. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. And I think the field also, I think any given field progresses because of such people who are strongly identified, right? That's kind of where I was going. I mean, what strongly you identify with helps the field grow. But if you do not grow out of the role, it can restrict.
Then you get stuck there all your life. Yeah.
You get stuck there all your life.
All your life you get stuck.
Thanks.
It's okay in certain functions. Like if you're a cricketer and you're a batsman, say. Okay. So that is your main function, batsman. So all your time you identified with that. But you have to field as well. You have to field as well. If you can't field, you're not a good cricketer. We used to have a joke. When I was a kid in school, we used to have a great cricketer, a great batsman called Durrani. I don't know whether anyone here remembers this cricketer called Durrani. Maybe people like Satish Bhai and all will remember.
Yes, we remember.
Durrani.
Yes.
And the joke was, the English batsman has hit the ball and is going towards the boundary, and Durrani is chasing it. And that time the Nawab of Fatawdi was the captain. He is saying, leave it, leave it, leave it. Why? Because if Durrani leaves the ball, he'll go for a 4. But if he runs after the ball, catches the ball and fumbles with it, etc., the batsman will run 5 runs. It is a joke because you are such a bad fielder. Okay, good bad fielder. I'm not saying everyone has to be an all-rounder. Just imagine a team. If you had 10 players who are all-rounders, what will happen to that team? Unbeatable. No? Unbeatable. Never there. I don't think any team ever had 10 all-rounders. 2-3 good enough to win. Yeah, 2-3, not more than that. Therefore, you have to identify with the role. Exactly. In some specialized role like this, important. Yes. In a specialized role, important. But are you going to move from just a batsman to a captain, for example? You have to think more than your role. No? You have to identify greater than your role, even in that limited field. Because I deliberately chose a field with limited function. Only 3-4 roles are there in that. There also you have to move, no? To look at the big picture. Yeah. That's why sometimes the captain will declare when this guy is just about 15 runs short of a century. But big picture is important to take that decision. We have to have enough time to bowl the other person out. This guy's century is an individual achievement. Whereas we have enough runs on the board to aim for. So the captain has to take bigger decisions than just a batsman. So if like this you have to move, then along with role identification, you have to see yourself independent of the role as well. Even for efficient functioning, for effective functioning. Identification with the role will give you a certain sense of efficiency with the role. Being independent of the role will give you a greater sense of effectivity. Get you a greater effectivity. That effectivity to come, you need to see that. So even at the level of the roles, Certain amount of identification and certain independence has to be seen. And for the greatest of all achievements, you have to see yourself completely independent of all the roles. That doesn't mean you can't play a role efficiently. See, this is the worry many people will have, that if I identify myself with Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, will I be able to play my roles effectively? You can. The classical example I can think of from historical perspective, it's always easy to look at it like that for understanding, was Bhishma. He knew Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. He knew he was playing the role of a person who will keep the Kaurava empire together. He knew he had given his word as a prince that whoever sits on the throne of Hastinapura, I will support. All these are roles. And he played that role very efficiently. So when they asked him to become the commander-in-chief, he put certain conditions. I'll be commander-in-chief under certain conditions. I will not kill any of the 5 Pandavas. And in his thinking, his role was, I will prevent Pandavas from being victorious. This is the way he fought that battle. So Duryodhana was not very happy with this. He came and told Bhishma on 2nd or 3rd day, we are not happy with the way you are fighting. Okay, what do you want me to do? I want you to wipe out 1 battalion in a day, thinking that will keep Bhishma really busy. He did that in 1 hour. He wiped out a whole Pandava battalion in 1 hour. And he said, I have finished the job the king has asked me to do. I am retiring to my tent. And he retired from the field of battle. And the Kaurava army got mauled after that. Bhishma was not there on the scene. The greatest warrior is not there on the scene. The Kaurava army got mauled. So all of them came running back to Bhishma. Fight the battle the way you wanted. You are doing a great job. Can you see? He could do it effectively. He could send a message effectively. All that he could do. Nobody understood the part of him being a wise person. Only Krishna knew that. The others discovered that when he was lying on the bed of arrows, waiting for death. And they went to him to talk about various things under Krishna's advice. Only then they discovered what an ocean of wisdom he was. So, effective functioning you can always play. What's the problem? Yeah, you may not have that passion that you had before. That is true. But for effectiveness, you don't need that much of passion also. You need a decision to do a good job. That's it. To do the best you can. If you have that, fine. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? It's a good question.
Yes, Swamiji.
This is what...
Yes.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does clarify, because I mean, at the end of the day, like you said,
Yeah.
I mean, as you called the Trishankus like us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, finally, the limiting factor is time. So if you now focus time on Vedanta, it takes away that time from somewhere else.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
that's like the biggest constraint
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
That is true.
Right?
That time...
You have to
yeah.
just be,
That's why it's a
just
question
be
of
comfortable.
harmonizing your priorities and cutting off unnecessary things from your life. That's where you find the time.
Right.
From all the time wasters in your life, you pick up time.
Yeah.
And what is a time waster? A time waster is something that doesn't fit into your priority. Simple as that. You don't have to list out time. Like I have a friend, a cousin actually, who won't watch the TV serials. He'll watch all the advertisements. TV serial is time waste. He is in the field of advertisement, so he watches all the advertisements. So what is the time waster will differ from people to people. Yeah. What is not in your priorities is a time waster.
I think I got it, Swamiji.
Yeah.
Priorities is the key word out here.
Keyword
Thank
out
you.
here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, with that, okay. Therefore, with this Atma Jnanam alone, will all these things happen. Okay. Good place to stop. Okay.
Swamiji,
Yeah.
one more thing I
Sure,
just
sure.
wanted to ask.
Shoot.
In the beginning, we did about insecurities.
Yeah.
So it is related to that insecurity. So the human birth, when the human being is born, the human being is helpless
Yeah.
because that baby is dependent on people.
Correct.
And similarly, at the far end of the life,
Correct.
when all the senses and all stop working, again human being is dependent.
Correct.
So this insecurity becomes kind of it
Constant.
becomes your nature because you aren't always. I mean, only when you are young and when you are capable, at that time you are independent. So that insecurity, that it is going to be there for human beings, like animals when they give birth. The baby is on four legs immediately. That's what I've heard about giraffe and all. So they don't need their parents to teach them how to walk. But human being, if you leave them in the dustbin after they are born, they are dead.
They are dead.
So then this means we are born with insecurity, no?
Correct. We are born. Even they have insecurities. We may have more. They have insecurities with respect to survival, that's all. We have insecurities with respect to a lot of things besides survival. Money, relationships, children, all that. Yeah. So our insecurities are huge and we are aware of them. We don't like them. Therefore, growth is learning to manage them. Freedom is recognizing what you really are.
But then you're still dependent, right?
Physically, of
You're always
course.
dependent, na? I mean, how
Tell
can you
me, even as a young man or a woman, how independent are you really? From maids onwards, you are dependent on so many things. You are dependent on electricity that you don't produce. You are dependent on the vegetables that you don't produce. You are dependent on the water supply which you don't produce. So, a city living, you are dependent on a lot of things. You are never really independent. We live in an interdependent world. We make money by which we buy all these things. They produce these things, they sell it to us for money. So it's an interdependent world we are living in. So we are never really fully independent in that way. The independence we are talking about is not physical, it is emotional. Can you see that in spite of being dependent physically, you are emotionally independent? That is the growth area. Being grateful for the help you get, at the same time being emotionally independent. This is what growth is about. Are you making sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Think about it. More of this in the next class. Okay. So Wednesday we are starting the Ramayana thing. Those who would like to join, welcome to
Yes.
join in.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No need for following any text. It's just a story that I'm telling. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Om Tat Sat. Have a great time. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Have fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care. Nice to see all of you. Where to?